Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing my first book haul of 2020. Let that just sink in for a second. My first physical book haul of 2020. Who is she? I don't know. I haven't had to haul books since the beginning of the year. I posted a physical book haul, I think in like January of like the last books I purchased in 2019. I also did an ebook haul because I was really bored when I had to quarantine. Not that I'm not quarantining now, but I'm also back at work. And now, finally, I have enough books, 19 books to be exact, to do a haul. And I can't wait. I made it a goal this year to reduce my TBR. And a good way for me to do that is to not be purchasing as many books as I have. And I think I did the damn thing. These are all the books I purchased for the first half of the year. If I could have known 6 months ago what this year would have turned out to be, I probably would have bought a lot more books because this year has sucked. The first book I got in 2020 was Scavengers The Stars by Tara Sim. This is the Owl Crate edition. This is my last Owl Crate that I have gotten. I chose to unsubscribe from them because it's expensive and I wasn't loving all the books that I was getting. And I actually am currently reading it. I'm almost done. And this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year, so that's why I chose to extend my box one more month. But Scavengers the Stars is a gender-bent Count of Monte Cristo retelling / inspired story that follows a girl who spent a lot of years on a slave ship and she is going to get revenge. I always love a vengeance stabby girl and a bit of a softer boy. I have been enjoying it. I'm almost done it, so you'll see it in my June wrap up. So I have a couple books that have a bit of a story in regards to me purchasing them. A book that you might think is weird for me to purchase was Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. I don't know if I've said this on my channel, or I definitely haven't said this recently, but I have been a fan of Cassandra Clare's works for a very long time. In my few years of like not reading, I also like moved rooms and I didn't have a bookshelf, so a lot of my books went into storage. And then when I got back into reading, when I wanted to buy my own bookshelf, I discovered that both Clockwork Angel and Clockwork Prince were missing, and nobody wanted to fess up to losing them, throwing them out, doing whatever. They went missing. So I have been looking for them for so long. I found Clockwork Angel rather quickly. I think I purchased it in one of my very early hauls on this channel, but I've been looking for Clockwork Prince for 4 years. Now, some people might think that's excessive. Like, why wouldn't I just purchase it from Indigo again? But like, these hardcovers now are being sold for like, I don't know, $36. And yeah, when I was buying them, it was $23, and I just didn't want to spend that money when I knew eventually I would find them at a used bookstore. I finally have this book. It has bothered me for so long. This was one of my most exciting thrift store finds in a while. I also finally decided to purchase a book that I have been like going back and forth on for, again, a few years, and that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crowe by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade series, an ongoing series that follows a girl who is born unlucky. Morgan Crowe is destined to die on her 11th birthday. She is basically blamed for all of the town's unluckiness. She's like hated by her whole township. And on her 11th birthday, she is whisked away by a magical wizard who takes her to a new city where she is protected from the forces that are going to try and kill her. And he says, you can stay here, but you just have to pass these trials along with these other magical kids. And if you pass them, you get to stay here forever and live happily ever after. Obviously, that's not the way it goes, but I read this, man, years ago and really, really enjoyed it. I have wanted the UK edition for a long time. It is out of print as UK hardcovers go. It's so annoying that UK hardcovers always go out of print. But if you look at the inside, it's so nice. So I bought it off of 8 Books because I really liked the book. I think the books are stunning. She's a little beat up, but that's okay. I'm happy to have it, and the naked hardcover is gorgeous. I honestly forgot what it was like to go into used bookstores and find books that you're excited to read, because I haven't been in a used bookstore in so many months. But another book I found used was the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of the Trojan War, but it focuses on Achilles and Patroclus and their beautiful, yet I believe doomed and ill-fated relationship. I really loved Circe by Madeline Miller. I actually have it back there. I thought it was gorgeously written. I loved the audiobook. I thought the story just was so wonderfully written, and I loved the point of view Madeline Miller took, so I think that she'll do that as well with her first book. This is a beloved book, but a lot of people also talk about crying their eyes out, and I emotionally am not feeling that at the moment, but I can't wait to eventually read this story, to read Madeline Miller's other book, but I'm okay to wait for a little while. This is really throwing me back. I think we're on to March purchases, and I obviously bought Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Again, because I'm trash, we all know this. I really enjoyed Chain of Gold. This is the follow-up to the Infernal Devices series. It follows the kids from the Infernal Devices. I thought this was a really good entry into a series that could be a favorite. I love these characters. The plot, was there really a plot? I don't know, but these characters are phenomenal, and that's what I read her stories for. I think the setup for the next book is going to be like chef's kiss. So good. Can't wait for the next book in the series. I also managed to find Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. I found this used as well. This is the sequel to The Lies of Locke Lamora, a book I have read. Oh, when did I read it? I can't remember, but I did read it sometime this year, and I enjoyed it, although I didn't love it as much as a lot of people do. The Lies of Locke Lamora follows Locke Lamora, who is the head of this kind of small minor thieving crew, but they actually are secretly the best thieves in this kind of Venetian inspired city, and everything is going really right until Locke tries to pull off a con that goes epically wrong, and he gets roped into a huge scheme, and he's kind of like a pawn for this huge, terrible scheme. I liked the first book, didn't love it. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I was happy to find this. I hope I like it. The writing style is a bit dense, so I'm not feeling that right now, but I do or will pick this up in the future, obviously. I also have read this book, and that's Come Tumbling Down by Sean McGuire. This is the, I almost said third and final book. What am I talking about? This is the 5th book in the Every Heart a Doorway series. This is one of the direct sequels. It's not one of the prequels where you could just pick it up on a whim. This one you have to have read the other books in the series to read, and it follows some characters I really love and adore. This is one of the stories that has more of a quest-like aspect, and I'm finding I think the quest stories are a bit rushed, and I have liked others in the series more than this one. The next book has the longest winded backwards story on how I got this book in my hands, and it was not ridiculous, but it was just so long, and it's quite a tale. So it's Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crowe, the sequel to The Trials of Morgan Crowe. As you know, as I have said, when UK hardcovers go out of stock, they do not put them back to ever reprint, and that's why I will never get my hands on The City of Brass UK, even though I want to. I looked it up last night. There's one being sold for $650 plus shipping. So I got paranoid after I finally got my hands on the first one that this would go out of stock. So on April 1st, I decided to purchase it, and I knew it was going to take a long time. The world was on fire. The world's still on fire, but the world was really on fire April 1st, and I knew it was going to take a really long time. And then months and months went by, and I was like, maybe I should follow up with Book Depository, because it only says that my order has been dispatched. I don't know where it is. So I did, and I had to do a bunch of things for them. They're like, can you check your post office? Can you do this? Blah, 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 blah. See, whatever. I couldn't find it. And they're like, okay, got lost in the mail. Here's your refund. I was like, I don't want a refund. I just want the book again. So I decided to then purchase the book again in the end of May. And so then this showed up on my doorstep a week ago, and I was like, oh, that was really fast. Cool. And then I opened the package, and this was the book I purchased from April 1st. So I now have a second one coming to me, and one of them was refunded, and I feel really, really terrible about it, but there's literally nothing I can do. And yeah, so now I have the sequel, and the naked hardcover is really nice. So the next book that I purchased from Book Outlet. I got them in April, way before all this garbage came out about the company, so I will no longer be purchasing books from Book Outlet. I also have a gift card from them, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but obviously I do not support and I don't condone their actions. They have made mistake after mistake after mistake, and it's fucking garbage. Yeah, it's sad. It is sad. So the first book I have here is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is the companion to Uprooted, a book I enjoyed, didn't love, thought it was fine. But this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I used to get really excited when Book Outlet had fantasy stories on there because, again, finding fantasy books cheap is impossible. A couple people at the time were tweeting really, really great things about it, and that finally pushed me to pick it up. I also finally bit the bullet and picked up Waking Gods and Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel. These are books 2 and 3 in the Themis, whatever, Files series, a sci-fi adult series. I don't actually remember what the series is about, other than the fact that it's told in like case files similar to Illuminae. And I have really wanted to get my hands on these books, but I did not want to pay full price for them. But look, they're so gorgeous. Again, the naked hardcover is so nice. And because I've finally picked up the sequels, I think it's time that I read the first book. I've been meaning to do it for years. I picked up Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This is a very, very popular middle grade series that I think has like 8 or 9 books in it at this point in time, and I believe it follows the very stereotypical like middle grade trope of the main character doesn't know that they had these abilities, but then it turns out, oh, they're half fae, they have magical abilities. It's something I love. I'm a sucker for it, and a lot of people really liked it. These books are long. Okay, maybe not as long as I thought. The font's kind of big, but I am interested to give it a shot, and hopefully I can find a new middle grade series that I absolutely love. Final book I grabbed was Intercepted by Alexa Martin. This is a sports romance, duh. This follows a main character who's been dating like a famous NFLer for like 10 years, but then he was like cheating on her, so she breaks up with him and is like, I'm done. I'm not dealing with any more athletes. They're garbage. But then there is this new quarterback who really is interested in our main character. They also had a fling like years back, and he's determined to be like, hey, let's date. And she's like, absolutely not. I'm not opposed to sports romance. I like a lot of different sports, although I kind of hate football. I'm interested to give this one a shot. People tend to like it. I'm sure it'll be a fast, fun, and easy read. So now we've gotten into purchases from May. I think these next few books I purchased in May. The first one being Felix Ever After by Kissing Calendar. I wanted to read this for Pride, so I purchased it so I could get it for Pride. And I haven't read it yet, but I will be reading it for the Blackathon. They're having a queer edition, 48 hours reading books by Black queer authors, and this fits both of those. Felix Ever After is about a trans teen who I think is at the end of high school, and he has been getting like some transphobic messages anonymously on his phone, and then I believe gets dead named in public. So he comes up for a plan for revenge, and then I think decides to start like catfishing some people, then starts falling in love, and there's like this maybe quasi love triangle. That's a quote from the book, and that sounds great. We don't love love triangles unless they're done well, or to be perfectly honest, if they're queer. I think this cover is gorgeous. It's like so pretty. I've wanted to read this for a while because people have been really hyping it up, and actually I was updating my wish list on Indigo's website, and this is currently out of stock online, so a lot of people are reading it and supporting it, and it makes me happy. I can't wait to read this story. I think this, although it starts off with some hard things, I think this is going to be a story about joyful things, and I can't wait for it. I picked up The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. My brain is not working right now. This is the third and final book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I have loved both of the first 2 installments in this series. I think I've reviewed both of them, but this is such a unique and like so imaginative, huge in scope. Story, it's a unique take on fantasy. See, my brain isn't working. Oh my god. This is such a unique fantasy tale. If you like adult fantasy, you have to read this series, I think. I think you'll love it. There's a lot of really interesting topics in here, and I cannot wait to finish this series. I will definitely be doing this hopefully soon. Again, reading has been a bit difficult recently, so I don't want to read things I'm really looking forward to, but I do really want to get to it. And another book I'm so excited that I finally have in my hands, Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is an Indian-inspired fantasy tale with some really cool mythologies, and that's all I actually know about the story for sure, but I know this is supposed to have a phenomenal romance. It's a companion series, so you can read this as a standalone, and everyone who has read this has loved it. I wanted to read it for so many years that I don't remember the synopsis at all, but that doesn't matter. So the final book I have in my hands right now, we're going to talk about quickly, and then I will insert the clip of the other 2 books that I've purchased, and then we'll wrap this sucker up. I purchased Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I'm shocked I didn't have this pre-ordered. I should have. But Elizabeth Acevedo is one of my favorite young adult contemporary writers. She writes both in verse and prose. This story is told in verse. It follows 2 half-sisters who don't know the other exists until their father, I think, gets in a plane crash and dies, and they have to grapple with the fact that their beloved father is dead, but also the fact that he wasn't who they thought he was. It's told in verse, which I'm excited about because The Poet X is one of my favorite books of all time. I love that story to pieces. I think the cover is stunning. I think the book has to be stunning on the inside as well. I'm hoping one of my apps has the audiobook pop up into it soon because I love listening to her books via audiobook, but I'm very excited to read this one as well. Hi. So yeah, it's me from the future, and I still haven't gotten my packages from Indigo, but I'm still just going to discuss the last few books here so I can have them out of my mind and not worry about discussing them the next time I do a haul, because let's be honest, who knows when that will be. So the 2 books that I got from Indigo, the first being The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. You might be thinking, don't you talk about that series all the time? Don't you already own it? Yeah. I purchased the hardcover because I actually have this set of, I think, cool new cover redesigns that go over the hardcovers, so I'm excited for that. And then I also purchased Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi. The subtitle says it's the definitive history of racist ideas in America, and it's a pretty chunky book, but I am excited to get it and read it because I know I need to really step up my nonfiction game when it comes to really everything, but especially like racism and all that kind of stuff. I definitely need to step up my nonfiction game, so I'm very happy to start or have that in my hands soon. And before I let you go, I actually forgot to mention that I actually totally forgot this myself, but I actually purchased another book, and that is Elantras by Brandon Sanderson. I purchased this with my second purchase of Wondersmith, if you remember that whole mess. So this one came, but the second Wondersmith didn't come, and so I'm even more confused now, but what are we gonna do? But this book, I believe, I don't actually know what it's about, but I believe this one is set before Mistborn in terms of like timeline in his Cosmere universe, and I'm getting really excited to read books in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, especially The Way of Kings, but I wanted to read this and some of the ones that you should read before I do The Way of Kings. So yeah, I'm happy to finally have this in my hands. So that is it for all the books that I have purchased in 2020. I cannot believe that I've only purchased 19, 20-ish books this year. I've done a lot better because I've been purchasing a lot of Kindle books. Absolutely. I've been definitely abusing those daily deals. But I'm proud of myself. I've done a good job not adding a lot to my TBR, which makes me happy. And yeah, this video was really fun to film. I don't know when I'm going to get to film another one of these, which is always a bummer because I love filming book hauls. Let me know down in the comments below if you recommend any of the books that I discussed today and why. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!